What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Drive for Show, DFS for Dough here on Rotogrinders. Back with you talking golf for another week in the DFS golf landscape. And we've got the Waste Management Phoenix Open this week. So an event that should be a little more exciting to talk about and break down than the wonderful Pebble Beach Pro-Am that we had last week. I am Justin Van Zuiden, aka STL Cardinals 84. We'll be hosting the show for you for the next 45 minutes or so. And we'll see what we can make of this week's golf tournament. I was telling my co-host Notorious, Mr. Derek Farnsworth, before the show, I made the worst DFS lineups known to man last week. Maybe a bit of a stretch because I did at least get some money back, but it was not a great week for me. I know Noto always loves the Pro-Am. So Noto, did you have a better week than I did?
I mean, I always set myself up for failure. I always say, I hate these things, I'm going to lose, and it comes true. So I'm right there with you. I made some pretty bad lineups. I was rooting on Troy Merritt. I had an outright on him. I know some of the guys in Discord did as well. He made a run on Sunday, but couldn't quite get the job done. And I mean, the story for me was the Friday cut sweat. I mean, PGA Tour had it at, top 65 in ties. And so everyone was thinking, I still got a chance for 6 of 6. And then we find out that it was top 60 in ties, and that the top 65 in ties got credit for the made cut, but they get the MDF. So yeah, that took the 6 of 6 percentage from about 5% down to about 1%. And I think I only had 1 6 of 6 in all my lineups. So yeah, pretty brutal week for me. Anything other that was noteworthy for you?
No, I had 0 6 of 6s, so you beat me there. I think I did 100. And I had 8 5 of 6s out of that mess, and the -4. I had a few guys at -4, but it wouldn't have mattered. It was ugly. I didn't have a lot of the guys that were near the top of the leaderboard, though. There were quite a few guys in the mix on Sunday. I had a little merit in DFS, but it wouldn't have made a difference. And I was hoping that would be, last week might as well be the week that Spieth pulls out a victory, because I never roster him, and he might as well win on the week where I wasn't going to win anything anyway. But then he kind of choked it away there at the end. But good for Tom Hoagie picking up that victory and pretty much locking it down there at the end of the tournament and taking home the hardware. So it was what I believe he was 75 or 80 to 1. It seemed like there was a good chunk of the golf Twitter community that was on Hoagie a little bit last week. So I'm sure there were some outright bet tickets on him that won. And, he was reasonably popular in DFS, though he wasn't exactly all that cheap. So just the nature of that event. But maybe we move on to this week. But it was interesting to see how easy Pebble Beach played, the host course generally. In a year where there wasn't much wind. Usually the wind kicks up at least 15 miles an hour or so, and Pebble tends to play pretty hard. But the guys who were playing there, didn't exactly shy away from pin hunting. So the old showdown strategy of targeting the players on the theoretically easiest course didn't really pan out last week, because Pebble played a little easier than normal.
Yeah, for sure. That was a surprise. I do the showdown article and write up how easy the courses were playing, and Pebble was right there with Monterey as the easiest course of the three. So that was certainly interesting. So something to keep in note for next year. And yeah, Sunday was interesting. I mean, Cantlay and Spieth were both right there. You kind of got the feeling that one of them was going to pull away, and then Spieth did pull away, and you thought, okay, well, this tournament's over. 3 putts, 17, or maybe you missed that short one. Yeah, I think it was off the chip. So, and then Hoagie drains his on that same hole right after him. So that was kind of the end of it there. And Cantlay just couldn't get anything going on
We lose Noto or we lose me. I think we might have lost Noto. We lost Noto. The golf gods did not like him talking down Spieth missing that putt. See, if that was the case, then I'd get frozen every week.
Sorry, I think I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. You just froze up for a minute there. Golf gods don't want you bad mouthing Spieth.
Yeah. Anyway, I was just saying, another guy, Seamus Power. I mean, we've been fading this guy every single week, and he got to 16 under after his first, I think his second hole on Saturday. So if he would have just shot 1 under the rest of the way there, he could have won, or not 1 under, but anyway, I don't know. He looked like he was in clear, control there, and then he kind of messed up one of the easier courses and couldn't get anything going on Sunday. But I continued to fade him and continue to cost me a lot of money.
Man, I was on him during the fall swing. I just figured it would backfire. And after, get into some of these tournaments and shorter courses and stronger fields, and, he would fade away. But it hasn't happened yet. So he's going to become the new, the bane of my existence. And we're steering that ship together. So
got that choice again this week.
We've hit the iceberg and we're sinking, but we'll see if we can save the Titanic. Justin Rose was another one. He shot 6 over on Sunday, finished second from the bottom of those who made the cut. And I was joking with you on the after the second round that Adam Svenson, who finished basically dead last of everybody who made the cut the week before when I rostered him, he was up to like T3 after Friday, but he faded a bit on the weekend as well. So if he would have won the tournament, that would have been enough for me to probably break a screen or something on the laptop, as much as I've played him. But yeah, all told, it ended up being, the guys like Spieth and Cantlay and Matthew Fitzpatrick made a nice run as well, climbing up the leaderboard on Sunday. But Hoagie holding everybody off, and 7 birdies in his final round. Hoagie's final round, playing for that, elusive PGA Tour victory, 86% driving accuracy, 83% greens in regulation, gained a stroke and a half putting, and made 7 birdies. So that's a pretty good final round, especially when you consider that he double bogeyed the 5th hole and he was 1 over for the day. So it could have just been, lights out at that point for Spieth, but Hoagie hung with it and ended up getting the victory. So that's last week. A slew of MDFs. And for those who were confused about the cut line, the old rule used to be, when the cut line was top 70 in ties, that if you had more than 78 players make the cut, those extra players right on the cut line would get credit for a made cut and they'd get a paycheck, but they would not get to continue playing in the tournament, to try to limit the number of players playing on the weekend from being 80 or 85 players. So they would narrow it down as close to 70 as they could. If there were more than 78, they'd go down into the 60s. So
that was the worst. You had the extra Saturday sweat.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I misspoke the rule. If there were more than 78 players making the cut, they would have a secondary cut after Saturday, after the 3rd round, to cut it back down closer to 70. So if you had 80 players make the cut, and then they'd cut it down to, say, top 70 in ties. So if there were 3 players tied for 69th, 70th, and 71st, those extra 9 players that then made the cut and did not fall within the top 70 after the 3rd round would not get to play on Sunday, and they'd get that MDF designation. They'd get a paycheck, but they would not get to play the final round. Been so long since we had that, repressed memories, but that's how it worked. And so that's how they handled this one, given that it was a pro-am, and you had they kept score for the amateur teams as well. So you had extra players on the course. They didn't want as many, as that made the cut, because if they would have taken 65 in ties, it would have been like 76 or 77 players making the cut. And they wanted to get that closer to 60. So they gave the old MDF to those players at -4. Really confusing rule. But the fact of the matter is, you don't have to worry about that anymore. They don't do that with the new cut rule being 65 in ties. You're not going to see that probably for another tournament the rest of the year. So if that soured you on DFS golf, or you got victimized by it and you didn't know what the heck it was, don't worry, you don't have to worry about it going forward. That's the point of my little diatribe there. All right, let's move on to a new week. Enough talking about Pebble Beach. We don't want to talk about that anymore. We didn't win any money. We'll try to win some money this week with the Waste Management Phoenix Open, which I believe is an event that you, Noto, have attended in the past. So you should have a nice knowledge of the course. And it's one of the old rowdiest events in golf with the stands there on the 16th hole, the iconic par 3. So this is an event that had limited spectators last year, which it felt more weird with this event than it did with other events due to COVID. So should be back to the normal atmosphere this year. But what can you tell us about Tpc Scottsdale?
Yeah, if you like golf and don't mind throwing a couple of drinks back and enjoying some big crowds, and I certainly recommend going to this once or twice. I've been twice. Sad not to go this year, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. The course itself, par 71, 7,300 yards almost, 3 reachable par 5s. All of them are at least 550 yards. So good drive should be able to get you there to the green with your second. And then there's a drivable par 4 17th with water on the left. That's kind of a fun hole. Kind of sets up a cool finishing stretch there. You got the par 3, which everybody knows with the stadium around it. And then you got the drivable par 4. And then you got 18th, which if you miss your drive left, you're either going to be in water or in some thick grass over there. So it kind of sets up a fun finish. As far as the course goes, the fairways are pretty tough to hit for everyone. The rough isn't all that penal, but if you are too far offline, you will get into some trouble. This is desert golf. So you're going to, be at the luck of the draw if you do miss the fairways here. There's some water hazards as well. The greens are fairly easy to hit. Scrambling's fairly easy. Not a lot of 3 putts here. A lot of putts made within 10 feet. So that's kind of why we've seen some of the bad putters perform well here over the years. But we've also seen a lot of the short game guys, perform well here too. Ricky and Webb and Spieth. So I don't think there's a strong course fit. I think you want to be a pretty good ball striker. You're going to have to make putts to contend, especially if the scoring is really low. That's typically when you want to make a lot of putts. But yeah, I don't have a strong course fit. I do think course history matters quite a bit here. According to Data Golf, this is right there as the second most predictive course year in and year out when it comes to course history. So only Augusta National, and then this is tied with Sony at Waialae. So you definitely want guys that have either played here before or feel comfortable at this course. And that might be due to the crowds here. It might be due to the different atmosphere. Maybe it's just sidelines out the tee, whatever it may be. But for whatever reason, the guys that play well here tend to play well here each and every year.
Yeah, you do see a very predictive tournament and plenty of course history to pour over if you're into that thing, sort of thing. And only one course for the first time in like a month. Where we haven't had multiple courses in place. So if you enjoy wasting time at the office or at home or whatever on Thursday and Friday with the shot tracker, you get the full experience back this week. So that's an even bigger bonus with this tournament. And just a fun one, a fun course. We talk about a lot of courses on the PGA Tour being birdie fest these days. And then there are some that are, super difficult. It's rare these days, but there's still some out there. Frankly, I don't love either of those. I don't love the absolute birdie fest, but I don't like the US Open style where +3, +4 is winning the tournament either. I like to have some birdies in there and some scoring. And this course, I think, is almost the perfect balance between one that has some trouble and there can be some big numbers out there if you get a bad lie in the rough or you get short-sided on the green or something like that. You can make a double bogey here or there. There are some hazards that can get you in trouble, but yet if you hit good shots, you can make eagles. You got a drivable par 4 as well. So it's a nice tournament where you could have a guy making 20 or 25 birdies and then also, 8 or 10 bogeys throughout the week. So, I wouldn't say that I'm in the minority with that opinion. Maybe a lot more people like the US Open style than I do, but where do you stand on that discussion?
Well, sorry, got a little distracted. Our chat is saying I look like Michael Thompson, so I had to, hit the old Google machine to see. Because from what I know of Michael Thompson, I look nothing like him. But apparently, it's the beard. So it's the mountain man look. So I'm not offended anymore. What was your question? You like to?
No, I mentioned that I like this course because there's a nice balance where you can make some birdies, but then there is also some trouble. So it's not that normal birdie fest. But I don't like the US Open style where the winning score is like 2 or 3 over. So I like the balance on this course where there's trouble, but yet there's also holes where you can score. So where do you stand on that? Or it seems like a lot of the golf media loves that US Open style difficulty, and that, I don't know, that's just a little much for me. So I like this tournament.
Yeah, like this tournament, you're going to see a lot of birdie streaks, and you're also going to see a lot of double bogeys because, like you mentioned, there's going to be a lot of penalties. And I think it's kind of cool. You can see guys totally implode that were in it, right until the last few holes. And then you'll also see guys that just can string together the birdies and make a big run on Saturday or Sunday. We've seen a couple guys, come from way behind heading into the weekend. So, yeah, I like these type of events. I do like the U.S. Open setup, but 1 or 2 weeks a year is more than enough for me for the really hard scoring.
All right, let's go ahead and dig in. We've got a solid field here this week. So we've got our usual 5 golfers above 10K on DraftKings. We've got Rahm in the field this week. Of course, he's an Arizona State alum, plays here every year. He's played here 6 times. He's never finished outside the top 16. So the beat goes on with John Rahm, but we've got Thomas, Cantlay, Matsuyama, and Hovland also above 10K this week. So your take on those top 5, and are you prioritizing anybody in there?
Yeah, Rahm deserves to be the top guy, I think. Clearly rates out the best in my model. Went to ASU as well. So I think this is one of those tournaments that he'd like to have the trophy on his mantle. You mentioned the form, you mentioned the course history, checks all the boxes. No issue with him whatsoever. JT's been playing some good golf. He was kind of in contention at the Farmers, imploded a little bit on the weekend, but he's also got some really good course history, 4 straight top 17s here. He seems to have 1 or 2 holes at this event that take him out of contention each year. So if he can avoid that, I think he'll be in the mix. I'm probably going to be off of Cantlay. It's scary. I mean, he's got 5 straight top 10 finishes, but he's never played here before. Didn't look great on Sunday, so I think he's probably my least favorite of the bunch. You got Hovland he's won 3 times in his last 5 starts, which is pretty crazy. He missed the cut here in his debut, but it was right on the number. I think he's fine. I like that he's seen the course. And then you have Hideki, who used to be like the course history god at this course. We used to just play him here every single year. So, yeah, a lot to like up here. I think Rahm and JT are my favorites, but man, in MME, I feel like I want to get a little bit of exposure to everyone.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about Cantlay after that finish. I'm probably highest on Rahm and Hideki. We've got Hideki the lowest owned of the, we've got Cantlay, I guess, a little lower, but Hideki never gets that 25-30% ownership mark. And I'm not sure why. We kind of, just in general as a DFS golf community, don't treat him in the same tier as a lot of the other elite golfers on the PGA Tour. And maybe it's because the putter isn't as consistent with him as it is with some other guys, but I mean, Matsuyama's a guy that I believe he's second in all-time earnings at this event. He's finished first or second 3 times. He leads the FedEx Cup right now. He's won twice during the wraparound season here already. He's got himself a green jacket. Like, I don't know what else Hideki has to do if this isn't the tournament where he's going to be 20 to 25% owned. I don't know when it's going to happen. So give me some Hideki this week.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I used to just have a rule to lock him in at this event. And then, I mean, T42 is like his worst finish. I know he had to withdraw that one year. That was due to an injury. I think he was playing pretty well at the time. So, yeah, I like Hideki. No issue with him. If he comes at ownership discount, even better.
All right. Again, hard to find fault with any of those guys up there. Hovland just keeps on producing results, whether it's overseas or in the States. And again, the putter is occasionally the issue with him as well. But the tee to green game with both Matsuyama and Hovland, pretty hard to fault for sure. All right, let's go down into the 9Ks where, I'd rather have the 10K guys than the top of the 9K range. Obviously, where I stand with Spieth. I'm not playing him coming off of a top 5 finish. Schauffele, I don't mind, but Koepka, just hasn't burned us in a long time. Seems to grade out clearly below the other options in your model there. So it's not till we get to the bottom of the 9K range that I am interested. I like Burns the most. I hopped off the train. He kept on playing well, and now coming off a missed cut, a horrible second round at Torrey Pines. Everyone's entitled to one bad round. This course is a little more forgiving, rewards a little more aggressiveness. And I think Burns will show that upside this week. So Burns is my favorite in the 9Ks at 9,300. I don't really love any of the other options above him. Schauffele, again, fine, but I don't think you need to prioritize him. So what's your thoughts on the 9Ks?
I like this range a lot. If you aren't playing anyone above, 10K, you can get 2 or 3 of these guys and feel pretty good about it. No issue with Burns whatsoever. Progressively better finishes here, 3 straight years. So T22 last year, if he can improve on that, which I certainly think he can. My favorite is going to be Berger. He just continues to play well. He's got top 25s in 5 straight events. He's played here 7 times. He's got top 11s 4 of those times. And no matter how far you go back, he's number 1 in this field in strokes gained approach over the last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. He's the best iron player in the field, which is kind of crazy given how stacked the field is. We know he's good on Bermuda greens, which is always a positive. So I like Berger quite a bit. He gives you that, high floor, high ceiling combo. I also like Scheffler. He's been playing a little bit better recently, and it just feels like this is the event for him. I don't know why. I just think that, he's going to get a win here someday, maybe this year. T7 here last year, a couple seconds recently in his last 5 events. And just another guy that's good off the tee, good on approach, good Bermuda putter. I think that's a really good combo. And you can say the same exact thing for Sam Burns. So, yeah, I like the idea of starting, maybe all 3 of those guys in a lineup. I certainly don't mind them. Probably going to be lower than the field on Bubba. He nearly won in Saudi last week, and now he's got the course history narrative. So he's overpriced and probably going to be overowned. That's a tough pill for me to swallow. Brooks doesn't rate out that great for me. I know he's won here twice, but so inconsistent. I'll take my chances with a fade. Agree with you on Spieth, kind of the same thing for Bubba in that, he played well last week, so he's going to be popular. He's got the good course history as well, but he's overpriced, overowned. So yeah, I like X. He's fine, but the 3 in the bottom of the range stand out the most to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that take pretty much completely. There wasn't anything with the withdrawal last week. Nothing came out with Berger as far as an injury, right? It was
it was his back.
It was a wrist or something, right, from the week before.
I thought it was his back, but maybe I'm confusing that with Hoffman.
I'm gonna get now. I can't remember because I remember people talking about him seemingly playing through an injury the week before.
Yeah, that's a good call. I need to definitely look into that.
Well, it just hit me as well. Yeah, it was a back. All right. Yeah, I had him mixed up with somebody else. So, the last week was the back. I think his previous injury was the wrist. I mean, that worries me at least with, golf and a back injury, I think is at least some cause for a little bit of concern with Berger. It definitely needs to be monitored, but right now we've only got him at 7%. So if the whole world is off of him and he's the lowest owned guy above 9K, certainly there's some upside there, but definitely some risk if we don't get confirmation. And as we usually don't with golf media, nobody ever seems to ask about injuries. So give me Scheffler and Burns in this range for my plays, with you on Bubba as well, even though it scares me to fade him on a track where you can bomb it. But all right, let's move into the 8K range. And by the way, if you're, I'm going to hop in there right now. If you're looking to chat with us during the show and you're wondering where can I do that, check out the free Rotogrinders Discord. You can go to rotogrinders.com/Discord, and that is a free Discord server for any Rotogrinders member to join. So there are some channels that are locked for premium members, but you can get in and chat with us during the show, even if you are watching for free live on YouTube, in the live stream chat channel of the Rotogrinders Discord. So again, rotogrinders.com/Discord, sign in with your Rotogrinders credentials, whether you're a premium member or not, and go to the live stream chat channel, and you can chat along with us during the show. All right, let's move into the 8K range. I'll give you the first crack at this area here. Who do you like?
All right, so at the top, I like Finau quite a bit in tournaments. I don't think he's going to be very popular. A lot of people will see the fact that he's 2 for 6 here. A lot of people will see the fact that his form hasn't been that good, but he moved to Scottsdale in early 2020 and then played this event, and none of us knew he moved to Scottsdale right before this event, and finished second. He probably should have won. I think Webb ended up birdieing 16, 17, 18, and then he birdied the playoff hole too against Finau to beat him. But yeah, I think it's a good setup for him. He's clearly comfortable on the West Coast. I think it's now that it's a home game, I don't think that hurts one bit. And anytime you can get Finau under, 10 to 15%, I'm going to be on board. So I like him as a tournament play. I also think Louis Oosthuizen's an interesting tournament play as well. We haven't seen him since October, so no idea where the form is. But long term, I mean, this is a great fit for him. He's good off the tee. He's good with his irons. He is very good at avoiding bogeys, and I think that's going to be key this week because a lot of people are going to be making birdies. You just got to avoid those big numbers to stay in contention. He's played well here in the past as well. So I think those are two very interesting tournament plays at the top. After that, I mean, I don't know. I want to be underweight on Seamus again. It'll burn me once again. I like Corey Connors. He missed back-to-back cuts, but gained strokes, ball striking both of them. He's actually a positive putter on Bermuda, so I think he's interesting.
Wasn't a positive putter the last time I played him. I'll tell you that.
But long term here, I mean, if Hoagie and Luke List can win back-to-back weeks, it's got to be Corey Connors' time.
It's just you can write the script now. It's happening. Totally happening.
Although we can put like 20 other golfers in that same boat. But yeah, the other guy I like here is Henley. He's got mixed course history here, but very accurate off the tee. Second to Berger in terms of iron play over the last 4 months in the last year. And he plays here every year. So he's at least comfortable with the settings.
Yeah, cue up the 1-2 Connors Grillo exacta box this week for the top two to keep checking off the bad putters. But in seriously though, the bad putters have a good chance here. This is a tournament that's pretty highly correlated with the tee to green play. So if you like the guys that are woeful on the greens, this is a week where maybe you can give them a look. So don't mind Connors myself. I like Webb Simpson a lot. Again, another place where he just generally plays and generally makes the cut and generally gives you a solid finish. So he's a pretty safe option there at 8,600. Was pretty impressed with Fitzpatrick last week, the way he played, in a tournament where nobody was really expecting him to do much, and played really well on the weekend too. So Fitzpatrick at basically the only guy between 82 and 8,800 that we currently have under 10% ownership, though he's right at that mark. I think, Fitzpatrick and Oosthuizen and Finau in there. Finau, we've got a pretty low ownership as well. So you're willing to go back to the Finau well after he burned you at Torrey Pines, huh?
I mean, at this point, everyone's burned me, so I got to go back to some well.
Yeah, definitely another intriguing play. So I like the high end of that range. When we go back to the lower end of the 9K range and then the upper end of the 8K range, I think you can pick out a good 2 or 3 players in here, whether it's for a balanced build or maybe a lineup where you're going to get a scrub or 2 at the bottom. I think that's an interesting build to take this week. And then if you want to go totally balanced, then you pair a couple of those higher 8K guys with, say, a Connors or a Henley, and you just go for the full-on balanced build in with several golfers in the 8K range. And I do think that is intriguing this week, though you might feel like you're missing out on some win equity with those top-end guys. You can build a lineup in here that looks really, really good with a bunch of players that are like 10, 11, 12% owned. If you think we're nuts by fading Seamus Power every week, you can put him in there too. So lots of
guaranteed.
Lots of potential ways to make that build work out. So
do you have an Adam Scott take?
I don't. And I was going to ask you the same thing. Like, he's another guy that we just haven't seen him a lot on the PGA Tour, and it's a ball striking course. So you'd think, it makes sense. I don't know what to like Oosthuizen. It's just tough to know what to expect from him right now.
So he did play both the Dubai tournaments, finished top 10 in both of them. I was just going to look to see if he's played this before. He hasn't in the last 5 years. So he's at least got a couple of recent top 10s, which is always good.
Yeah, we just need to know what putter he's bringing.
But yeah, he's never. Yeah, we need to hit up Getty Images and search for practice rounds from him.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's never played here.
In 10th and 9th in his last two starts overseas, hasn't played on the PGA Tour since November, with a 37th at the closing event of the fall swing at the RSM Classic. And he was 5th at the CJ Cup too. So his, going back to the fall swing, not horrible. I kind of like it for tournaments. I think I didn't really have a strong take, but he again fits that balanced build. So, I mean, you can really play anybody. The only guy between 8,200 and 8,800 that I'm not, or an 8,900 that I'm not really on is Power. And that's probably stupid. So
Yeah. I can already see it now. Scott's going to have a 3-footer on 16. He's going to miss it, and the whole crowd's going to get after him. He's just going to walk off the course.
I'm done. I'm done. All right. Yeah, totally agree on most of those takes. Not on Hoagie coming off a win, not on Harris English, because I haven't been for a while. And that's one that hasn't really burned me, not playing him much. So anything else you want to bring along on the 8Ks?
I think that's it for me. I do like the Fitzpatrick call, though. I think he's interesting for sure.
Yeah, definitely a guy I think you can look to in GPPs after that finish last week. All right, let's go ahead and move into the 7K range. Also, don't forget to sign up to our sponsor site, Prize Picks. Use promo code Grinders with your first deposit. You can get 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Always like those over-under finishing positions, and you can get most of those kind of 8K-ish golfers usually around like under 25 and a half, 30 and a half for finishing position. I think you can sprinkle in some of those over on Prize Picks this week. Promo code Grinders, get a 100% deposit match up to $100 with your first deposit. You can check them out at prizepicks.com or download the mobile app. All right, let's move into the 7K range. If you built your lineups really early, Maverick McNeely has withdrawn. Make sure you're not playing him. But this is a spot where we're not going to see an overwhelming amount of chalk. I think there's some interesting names in this range, like Homa and List and Gooch are probably going to be the most popular, but not outrageous in terms of ownership. Andrew Putnam is that guy that faded a bit on Sunday, and so nobody's really talking about him. But if you look at the trends with Putnam, I think they've been very encouraging. He could be kind of your next guy out of nowhere in the Tom Hoagie type of mold. I don't mind him in GPPs at 7,500, but certainly the likes of Gooch and List feel a little bit safer. If you want to go back to the course history train, if for some reason you haven't had enough yet and you want to take another shot at Ricky Fowler, I suppose you can, but I will not be doing that. The Fowler bus has long since departed on my end, but I'm very curious to know what Noto is doing with Fowler this week.
I think I'll have 5% or so in my MME builds. I like to root for Ricky. This is one of the few events where I could actually see him posting the top 20 right now. So I think he's fine. I mean, the model certainly doesn't like him. I gave him a 12% boost, and he's still rating out as a very poor play. So, and it's not a model play for sure. Kind of just hoping that our guy gets there. But yeah, I mean, this is a tough range. Harold Varner coming off the win in Saudi. I don't love that. Luke List coming off the win at Farmers. Don't love that. Gooch, you mentioned that. I mean, he checks all the boxes, but he's been pretty bad here. 261's his best finish in 3 tries. Horschel has got some good form and some good course history, but he's lost on approach in 4 straight events, and it's been pretty bad. It's been all short game that's been saving him. So I don't love a lot here. I might go to Abraham Answer a little bit. He's typically more expensive than this and a lot higher owned. So I think long-term, he's at least a good fit for the course. I don't know, if that'll translate. I know the form hasn't been great recently, but he's probably my favorite play above 75.
Yeah, it's a little tricky. I'm going to play the ownership game on some of these plays. Answer, as you mentioned, with the talent. And I almost never play Horschel. And I tweeted this a couple weeks ago when he was in the mix at Torrey Pines, that he was in the process of replacing Patrick Reed as the biggest luck box on the PGA Tour. And then a few people responded with Spieth, as the third choice there, which I suppose is true. But and Horschel seems like the guy that like hates the fans and stuff, but in an odd twist, he generally plays well here. I think he's made the cut 6 straight years at this tournament, and he played well, like you mentioned. A lot of it's been with the flat stick, but if he's only going to be 8%, he's not overly expensive. Tournament he's played well in the past. I almost never play him, but I'll probably play a little Horschel this week too. Seems like your model likes Gooch the most from the numbers I can see.
Yep, it does. So yeah, it's just one of those course history versus recent form debates. Usually I lean recent form, but this week I'd like to see something out of him from this course in the past.
All right, so let's move down to the lower end of the 7K range where you start to get towards a lot of the plotters, the non-distance guys, which I don't love at this course. You know, the short game guys, Denny McCarthy, Noto's boy Harmon, Russell Knox, Matt Kucher are your kind of lower 7K options, which I don't know. I don't really like. Knox has been playing okay and probably seems like the best option, say from 7,200 to 7,500. If I had to pick one, it'd probably be Knox, maybe Pat Perez. After his last couple events have been pretty decent. Seems like Aaron Wise is getting the buzz at 7,100, but I don't think any of those guys are absolute must plays. So can you sell me on somebody that you really like in 7 to 7,500 range?
I do really like Knox. You mentioned it. The form's been coming around. He's got some good course history, and he led the field in greens and regulation last week at Pebble through the 4 rounds. We only have shot link for 2 of those rounds, and he gained almost 5 strokes on approach. So the irons are looking good. He's gained off the tee at least 1 stroke in every time that he's played this event in the past. So he's got to figure it out there. If he can lock in the irons, I think he's interesting. Woodland's a former winner. He's kind of one of those guys I always include in my MME player pool. He's been bad, but he's also got some high-end finishes over the last 6 months. So don't mind going there. I like Aaron Wise quite a bit. The course history isn't there, but he did make the cut here last year. Lost 10 strokes putting, and I think 9 of them were on the weekend, if I remember correctly. So a lot of people will have some nightmares reliving that one, but he's kind of fixed his woes on the greens. So I like him quite a bit. Pat Perez is interesting. The form's great, but I could see him like drinking the beers with everyone on 16. I mean, this guy loves to party. So yeah, I don't know. It should be fun watching him, pull up to that hole.
He will have a sweat with whether or not Perez can make it to that 7:30 a.m. tee time on Thursday and get his first round in. So yeah, I am a sucker for like in these types of events. I don't love anybody between like 7K and 7,500. And a few weeks ago, you would have gotten say 10, 12, 14% ownership on this guy at this price. So give me some 1% owned Kevin Streelman. I know the recent stats are just awful. But
good news. I'm off of him. So I've been playing him every week.
I haven't played him for a couple of weeks, so last couple tournaments he's played. So 1% Streelman. I put it in my GPP article. You cannot try to justify it with the recent stats because they are most definitely not there. But if anybody tries to come at me, about that, then you better not be playing Fowler. If you're the one coming at me, I'll check it because people are still going to play Fowler. So give me the 1% owned Streelman. And we'll hope for the best with some GPP builds. Certainly not going absolutely nuts there, but you can make an argument for some of these guys that
got like 2 more names for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Matt Kucher. So he struggled last week, but he always plays bad at Pebble for whatever reason. Prior to that, he was in good form. And he loves this course. He's been a top 10 machine here in his career. So I don't mind him up there. And then Joe Damon in contention last week, and he lives in Scottsdale. So he's very familiar with the course, with the area. Terrible course history, but at least he knows, the area of the course. It's going to be a home game for him. So I don't mind looking to him too.
Yeah, I like him a decent amount in tournament builds. And, we've seen him go on some hot stretches. So, the bucket hat, Mr. Damon, I like. Don't mind Mito. Again, these guys are going to be a little bit more popular. If you want the 1%er in that range, it's Streelman for me. Any interest in Merritt after that run last week?
I don't know. He's one of those guys that he's either top 30 or he misses the cut. We talked about it last week. I think he's done it in like 14 straight events. Don't quote me on that number, but something like that. So yeah, MMEs, sure. Definitely get some exposure to Merritt. And then Carlos Ortiz is interesting too. He's very long off the tee. The irons did turn it around, the last half of the year. and 60th in 2019, 25th in 2020, fourth last year. Continues the trend. I mean, there's only 3 places he can get this week.
There you go. I kind of like him too. He will be in my GPP player pool at 7K, about 5-6% ownership there, especially because once you get into the 6Ks, there's not a whole lot to like. I think I wrote up when I started my article this week, I wanted to write up one player in the 6Ks because this field is deep enough where, you got to find one player in the 6Ks that you like. And I think I put like 3 or 4 different names down. And then I looked deeper in the stats. I'm like, oh, I can't put him on there. I already had Streelman in there, right? So I couldn't have 2 guys that just look completely awful. So I originally had Neesmith in there. Then I looked at his stats. I'm like, oh man, I can't put Neesmith in there. I can't put Grillo in there with his putter. I can't put Hoffman in there because he can't finish a tournament. Withdrew after a decent first round last week. I can't really put Hadwin in there. And so I really couldn't settle on anyone. And so then I circled my way back to Bramlett, who everybody played him as a chalky value a couple weeks ago. And if you look at the last 50 rounds, Bramlett is dead last in this field in almost anything short game related. But he's 14th off the tee and 19th in ball striking, and he's 6,500. So I mentioned earlier, the bad putters can often do well here. This is literally probably one of the worst putters in the field. I should stand corrected. I said dead last in the field in most of the putting metrics. Kyle Stanley is below him, but that's it. It's only Stanley. And Noto has mentioned in prior shows how bad Stanley has been over the last 6 months or so with the putter. So Bramlett is next worst on the list, but the ball striking numbers are solid. So I settled on Bramlett, though I don't absolutely love it. Like there's nobody under 7K that's going to check every box you want. So unless you've got somebody for me.
Maybe not every box, but there are more names this week than I liked last week, at least. Martin Laird at 6,800. They call him Party Marty for a reason. I mean, he loves this course. I think he's 7 of 8 here with 3 top 10s. He's also gained on approach in 10 of his last 11. So the irons have been good lately. I like Wyndham Clark. He's been in contention here a couple of times. He kind of, fades on Saturday and Sunday, but very long off the tee. He's been playing a little bit better recently. He's at 6,600. I don't mind the Naismith call. I played him last week, and he triple bogeyed his 17th hole on Saturday. Ended up MDFing.
Didn't see that.
That was pretty frustrating. He finished top 10 here last year, and long term, he's 12th in this field in strokes gained approach. So if he can keep it together everywhere else, I think he's interesting. And then since the chat brought it up, I mean, we got to play Michael Thompson.
There you go. He was a thing not too long ago. He had a stretch where he was like 10 or 12% 1 week, maybe 2 weeks.
Oh, one other guy, James Hahn. I bring him up every show. Withdrew last week, so keep an eye on it. But this is where he did the Gangnam style on 16. If anybody hasn't seen that, he's got like 3 top 25s here in his last 4 starts. 6,200, smaller field than usual. Only 132 golfers, so you can afford to take a few more chances this week since a higher percentage of the field is going to make the cut.
Yeah, Noto's going to roll the Berger, Oosthuizen, Hahn withdrawal risk lineup this week. We'll have to certainly keep Hoffman. Don't play Hoffman, man. Hoffman hasn't finished the tournament in like 4 months. That's disappointing for him. That he's obviously struggling with it. Tried to play last week and then had to withdraw. I think it was after the first round, right? It was either the first or second round. I can't remember. I think it was after the first round that he withdrew. So Hoffman, there will be a time where maybe he's a steal again, but we got to see him at least finish a tournament there first. I do like Neesmith. I'll put him in some GPP lineups. I just didn't want to, with his recent stats, I didn't want to put him in my article along with Streelman, but wanted to get a couple 1%ers in there this week. Those guys can be the difference makers. I'm contractually obligated to mention Doug Gim, so he's there at 6,600 as well. He's had a few hot starts in recent months, just hasn't been able to put 4 rounds together. So Gim at 6,600, everybody knows he'll be in my player pool as well. Put him in the poor putter group that maybe he can string a week together where he's at least average with the flat stick. I brought up Eckroat last week. I didn't see where he finished. Let's see where he if he ended up. Yeah, he ended up MDFing as well after starting with a 66. So he started hot, but finished as part of that group at -4. So I like the Wyndham Clark call on courses where distance can be an advantage. I'll probably end up with some of him as well. So
What about Bo Hostler?
Oh boy,
In contention last week. He got off to a terrible start on Sunday, but kind of made a run there the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, it could be another spot where too, maybe, that gave him some confidence.
He's good off the
looks
tee.
like your
and
model
good
numbers
putter.
look awful on him.
Yeah, it never likes Hostler, but he's one of those guys that when he locks it in, he's got top 25 upside.
Yeah, maybe leave him in the MME pool as well. This is one of those weeks where it'll be tough. If you're like me and you like to cut your player pool down to like 20 golfers or 25 golfers, it's a tough week to really narrow it down because we mentioned quite a few value guys where usually we're just, scraping to find maybe one guy that's one or two guys that's interesting in there. You at least get a few names that feel like they might be worth a peek as a value this week. So anybody else before we get out of here?
I think that's good. And yeah, it should be a fun week. Can't wait. Get to sweat, one of the better events to watch on TV. And then we get the Super Bowl Sunday. So going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, I remember the one year, was it Fowler and Matsuyama in the playoff the one year that was still going on when the game started? Flipping back and forth.
I was watching it on my phone at the Super Bowl party I went to. Everyone thought I was crazy.
Oh, it's the golf sweat is definitely real, and this is a fun tournament. Fun to tune into and fun to follow. So with that, we'll get out of here. Before I forget, if you are in New York, you can find a whole bunch of links and stuff on the Rotogrinders website with the launch of PointsBet now in New York. Promo code RG2K on PointsBet will get you 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. If you're interested, go to the Rotogrinders homepage, go to the sports betting tab and click New York, and you can find a list of all the available sports books and our relevant promo offers. So with that, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Enjoy the golf this week, everybody. Good luck as you build your lineups. Enjoy the big football game as well. For Noto and our producer, Steve, I am Justin. We will talk to you next Tuesday, same time, same place for what do we got next week? We've got the Genesis Invitational next week at Riviera, and then the Honda Classic the week after that. So it'll be a couple of tough golf courses up ahead the next couple of weeks. So tune in next week, same time, same place. We'll break down the Genesis for you. So for Noto and Steve, I'm Justin. We'll see you next week, everybody.